Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Brighton podcast. I'm joined by the man himself, Blessings Chibamba, my co-host, my superstar. How are we, Bless?
Yeah, good. Yeah. Happy to be here with the Palace boys.
Yeah, that you've spoilt my next part or my next line. We are here for our crossover episode with the Crystal Palace lads. Now, what a fearsome rivalry that we've got. We'll see if we can keep it above board and throw no low blows, all punches to the face and little jabs here and there. Boys, Alex, Dan, how you feeling?
Yeah, well, good. Thanks, mate. Very excited about the upcoming clash on Sunday. We all wait all season for this, don't we? And yeah, should be a tasty one. You guys have had a bit of a dip recently, so hopefully we can take advantage.
Yeah, and Dan, how are you feeling for it?
I'm doing all right so far. I'm definitely looking forward to the game on the weekend. Out of that nasty fixture list that we got for over Christmas, this is the one I was kind of focusing on way more than like City or the two Arsenal ones. We got the derby game coming up. Everybody loves a good derby game, even if you're not the most sort of prestigious in the world. It's still a derby game.
Exactly. It's a derby game that means a lot to us fans here. It's gone a couple of our head-to-heads in the past. 6 wins for Brighton, 6 wins for Palace, 9 draws overall. And I think in the last 6 or 7, there have been 4 1-alls. And I've got to just throw it in there. A 4-1 for Brighton at home, this exact fixture last season. Do you hope or wish or dream for a better game coming up? Either Alex or Dan.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. We're 4-1 defeat is to your rivals. It's unthinkable, really. But that was the end of the Roy era. I think it was one of his last games, and we're looking a bit more rosy now under Glasner. So yeah, we're hoping that was a blip. But you mentioned there, obviously, like the 1-1 draws. Just seemed to be every game we played you was 1-1 for a period. Which you just want to win these games, don't you? I mean, 1-1 suits neither team really, especially with you guys trying to get back up into the European places and us trying to pull away from the bottom. I don't think a point suits, but I just at the Amex I don't want to lose, but when it's at Selhurst I want to win. That's as simple as that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys are the same as well.
Yeah, you can't lose a rivalry game or a derby match in front of your home fans. That's like the most demoralising, soul-destroying defeat. Now, you did mention the form. We are 7th. We've dropped off. We've plateaued a lot, and maybe not even plateaued, just fallen off a roller coaster, fallen off our cliff, our form. Whereas you are slowly edging your way out of the relegation zone. I think there's 4 points between you and the drop zone. What has been the reason for your recent success in form or recent rise in form?
I'm not sure if there's anything you can really sort of pin it on. I think just since the international break, we've just suddenly either sort of galvanised as a team a little bit more. We've organised ourselves a lot more in defence. We've sort of negated a lot of these very silly little passes and unforced errors that we've done. So it's just... And we've actually come out and being considerably less passive in the games. Instead of actually sort of letting the game come to us a little bit, we've actually taken it to the teams that we're playing against the opposition. Like the Newcastle game where we completely and utterly dominated it across the entire stat board, but somehow we still get a draw. But it's that kind of little bits of bad luck that we're still getting, conceding a goal from somewhere or just sort of grinding out a draw. Like with City, we went 2 up. We took the lead twice and we conceded. So it's little things like that. But I think it's a lot more to sort of galvanise as a team a bit more. We know what is expected of each player. I think that's probably what you can put some kind of into it. But other than that, I can't really see much. It's still basically the same team.
Yeah. There's one thing. I mean, you touched on it there. You guys love a draw. We love a draw. This whole fixture loves a draw. Bless. Are we about to see another draw?
Oh, I really hope not. I think we are desperate for 3 points after the little mini run we've just had. So I'm looking at this one at home. It's a good opportunity to get the fans back on side with a derby win. Like we've alluded to, everyone wants to win a derby match. Um, but I do have a question for you guys as well, actually. Just off the back of what Jamie asked as well. In terms of Glasner, obviously, at the end of last season, you were really impressive, I felt, and you were in really good form. Do you feel like the honeymoon period of that is sort of over?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think last season was like a massive bit of an illusion, really. We were playing teams who had long, hard seasons, like Newcastle at home. I think we beat 4-1, but they'd obviously played a lot of Champions League, went on a cup run, they were knackered. I think we were playing teams that, obviously Man United, we beat them 4-0 at home, and they're rubbish under Ten Hag. And we just took advantage. And I think Glasner gave us such a lift after years of, again, rubbish under Roy, just that kind of terrible football. So I think it was a bit of an anomaly. And the start of this season, teams have found us out, like the high press, the intensity. But fair play to Glasner, he's addressed that. And I think against you guys on Sunday, it's going to probably be a bit more counter-attacking. You guys will probably see more of the ball, maybe, probably have play in our half a bit. But, we sort of dug in with this counter-attacking approach against City. And we're probably more likely to see that on Sunday. But yeah, it was a honeymoon period. It's a bit more reality now, but we're slowly building blocks again. And to be honest, in this situation, I'd rather have Glasner at the helm rather than Roy. So that's just a positive in itself, I'd say.
Do you know one thing I will add there? And bless, you'll probably agree with me, but I feel like they're just Michael Olise FC. They were so reliant on Michael Olise. He's gone out the door, and this lot are crumbling. I mean, there's nothing better as a Brighton fan to watch this demise of Crystal Palace. They go forward, and I'm confident they're not going to score. Jean-Philippe Mateta as well. He's had his little spell, his magic patch, and now he's without Olise. Not great. I mean, Olise was such a pivotal part of your team. 19 games in the Prem last season, 10 goals, 6 assists. Are you really missing him that much?
I wouldn't say we're missing him that much, but it's a kind of the way that Palace do things. We have one or two players that do 80% of the work. It's been a problem for many, many years, but a lot of teams do that. Have these one or two players that do most of it. You had sort of was it the Japanese superstar a couple of years ago being your sort of helmsman and everything like that, and when he started to lose form, oh look what happened! You started to lose form as well. So you're not the only one that has a one-man army.
Don't you dare talk about Matoma like that. He's still a star, and he will never
He's
leave
still
us.
a star, but I'm just saying, as soon as his form starts to drip, a couple of years ago you had that, and as soon as he started to go down, oh look, you started to
much less output. Yeah. Yeah, Alex, are you crying into your pillow every night, wishing that Olise and Eze return together, the partnership that formed Palace?
I was. I'll be honest. I was in when Olise left. I wanted one season of Olise and Eze and Mateta doing bits up front. It didn't happen. So yeah, I was a bit upset to begin with. But you know what? We figured it out now. We're back to more or less full strength. We haven't got many injuries. We've got a solid, settled team. I think Mateta's. I think he bagged a couple against you guys in recent fixtures as well, if I remember rightly. So hopefully he'll come up trumps on. He's a better Danny Welbeck, I'll put it that way.
Oh no!
We can't be having that. Yeah, bless you. You are the advocate for Danny Welbeck on this podcast. Please respond.
The day I see Mateta whipping in free kicks, we could have a conversation. But even that day, I don't think I'll have it.
Exactly. Welbeck's actually added Ward-Prowse-esque free kicks to his game. And on that note, we will go to a break and we will talk more about the upcoming fixture and also how teams have kicked off this Premier League campaign and done recently.
Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we've spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform, and let me tell you, Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, then check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
And we are back with the Daily Brighton and Crystal Palace crossover. So, Dan, you did mention the amazing result you had last week. You drew 2-2, probably miraculously and probably to the surprise of many of your fans against Man City last week. I mean, it wasn't quite a win. You can't always be Brighton, you know. We managed to beat them 2-1, but that's besides the point. It was a good result for you guys. What did you guys do well?
I think last time we did well. We just sort of worked that counter-attack a lot better than we have done before. We've been very, as I mentioned earlier, very passive when it comes to games. We go 1-0 down, and then the heads just drop, and then nobody does anything. Or we had ones against Forest where all we were doing were taking shots from 35 yards out. Taking the counter-attack, there's only 3 people going forward and no midfield to support them or anything. Against City, we actually went in for tackles. Like the first goal was a miss pass and a little bit of a tackle. Then we got a absolutely Iniesta style pass that took out the entire defence. So it's stuff like that. It's actually taking the game to the opposition instead of sitting back and letting them dictate what goes on. So that's where I think we've gotten a lot better at in the last couple of games. So and getting a draw against the champions, especially after they absolutely demolished Forest a couple of days earlier, and getting a goal in the first couple of minutes. My phone buzzed and I went, "What was that?" Oh, we're 1-0 up. Hang on, what? I had to do a double take. It was, hang on, we're 1-0 up against City.
And I guess, Will Hughes, the magic man that you spoke about there, a brace of assists, if that's what you call it. Is he been your best player so far, Alex?
Surprisingly, he has, yeah. He's start of the season, he was probably a squad player, to put it politely. But we had a bit of an injury crisis in midfield, and he's actually come out a bit of a star man from that. And you know what? For these derby games, he's someone you want in your team. Like, he is he's a leader. He puts it about. He gets stuck in. The fans love him. Bit of a cult hero. So yeah, he's going to be great on Sunday. He's going to be well up for it. You guys probably haven't seen much of Will Hughes recently, other than the kind of bright white hair. But yeah, he is a good talent. And yeah, he's going to be a key player for us, I reckon, on Sunday.
And moving on to you, Bless, I guess, Will Hughes, their star boy. I mean, are we really that worried? We've got a plethora of star boys. We've got João Pedro, we've got Ruta, we've got a Yari and Baliba that dwarf Will Hughes in terms of stature and also ability. Bless, are you worried at all?
Whatever I say is going to sound very biased, but yeah, as Alex has already said, I've not seen much of Will Hughes, to be honest. But from what I can remember of what I've seen in the past, he's a very neat footballer and he is smart. But again, yeah, we've got our own, dangerous midfielders, our own midfielders to sort of watch out for. And it'll be an interesting battle because I think our midfield's done quite well recently. I don't see Baliba having an issue sort of matching Will Hughes in any department, to be honest.
One thing I'm going to come off my high horse a little bit, and I will say we've been pretty poor as of late. So now our last performance wasn't too great. So we spoke about your last performance against City, where you bottled a 2-0 lead. Ditto. We did the same. We did that against a much worse team in Leicester, of all the teams to do it to. A team who are fighting for survival, to be honest. We just struggle against teams down the bottom of the league. Bless, do you envisage this being another issue?
Possibly. Again, it's a derby game. It's an important game, so there are bragging rights on the cards here, and Hertz is going to be aware of that, and he will be telling the players that this is a really important game. But I'm particularly interested, actually, Dan, what you think, because a lot of teams we found this season have been looking at Brighton as, we might need to respect them a little bit, especially when we're at home. But with our recent run, do you think Glasnow's going to go for a different approach and maybe step on top of us like you did against Man City, press a bit higher?
Oh, I think he's going to be going for it every single game, because he did press conferences like against the League Cup when we were playing QPR and things like that. And he's going, we're going to put out a full squad and we're going to go try and win every single game we possibly can, which I love that kind of attitude. So I would think he's definitely going to keep very much a similar system and try and just sort of close you down as much as possible, because we kind of play with kind of two defensive midfield. Most of our midfielders are very big, strong, and are going to be are basically there to get the ball off the attackers and things like that. We have three at the back, which kind of move around quite a bit as well. So I think that's going to be very much the style, and try and get the ball off you guys in the midfield, or even at sort of on the 18-yard box kind of thing, and try and get the ball out as quickly as possible to Eze or Sarr, who seems to be getting in a nice bit of form as well. So that's going to probably be our system, or our sort of number one sort of attacking option.
It's actually, yeah. I mean, it's interesting you say that, and yeah, all from what you said about Glasnow last season and what he was on such a high with doing was that high press, the intensity. I think that is Brighton and under Hertzer have really focused on playing out like every single game, every passage of play we try and play out. I think against Fulham last week, it didn't work out too well with Verbruggen passing it straight to Iwobi, which is decent. If he could not do that this week, that'd be good. And also Eagle running it straight into the Leicester player for their 93rd minute goal. But other than those two times, like, we have been pretty solid playing out from the back. But I just wonder if it will actually play on their minds, those mistakes, because it was just in the last two games. I don't know what you think about that, Bless.
Yeah, definitely. I think in terms of high-profile mistakes, we've only made two. The rest of the time, it's been okay. Sometimes, obviously, not as convincing when Adam Webster stepped in, but we haven't
He's
seen
an
him
anomaly.
since. So
yeah, he can stay far, far away from the pitch, and we'll be happy.
That's it. We haven't seen him since. But I am interested, though. I'm glad you spoke about building from the back. I'm interested whether or not Hertzer goes with a back three, because obviously if Palace play that, he might want to sort of match them up in terms of pressing. It might help us in that way. But again, if we do that, we haven't done that so many times this season. That could be risky in terms of how it affects our build-up.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, and we will be touching on that after this quick ad break. This podcast is part of the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only network bringing you exclusive daily news and views on your Premier League team, the Premier League, women's football and fantasy football. A unique listening experience that puts fans first, bringing you the very latest breaking news from your team. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and make us your first listen every day. Global Sports Podcast Network. Every club, every day. And we are back with the Daily Brighton and Crystal Palace crossover. Bless, you did a perfect little segue there, and I'm going to expand on that point. So Hertzer said against Southampton 2 weeks ago now, or whenever we played them, that they played a three at the back, and in the first 60 minutes we found it hard, and he said it was difficult to play play against a team that go man for man and build out from the back. So then he reverted to a back three. And then he, against Fulham, started with a back three because I guess we had Dunk back and we had Eagle back. You guys have played a back three, if I'm not mistaken, the entire season. So on Bless's point, I am interested to know if he does go with a back three, which I think actually could be likely based on the comments that he made against Southampton, another team that love playing a back three, and another team that were just taking us man for man, pressing us, and just basically following every man up and down the pitch. I don't know whether that is something that you guys kind of see or you guys kind of do as well. But if it is, that's where I actually do see us playing 3-4-3, which is what Hertzer played at St. Pauli last season. So yeah, maybe Dan or Alex, you can explain whether you actually do just track your man, play a bit Southampton style, and whether you do take man for man marking.
Yeah, I mean, we do to an extent. When we're pressing in the final third, we do tend to go man for man. So like Eze will go towards his bloke, and then Mateta will do the same, and Will Hughes will put a shift in as he always does. But yes, we do that when we're pressing, but we do have a lot of zonal marking as well, especially from set pieces. And it is more when we're on the back foot, we'll play zonally. So we'll have Tyrick Mitchell and Munoz, our wing backs, will tuck into those positions, and we'll play as like a back five. But then when we do have the ball, those guys will be more like wing backs. So it's quite a fluid system, which again is credit to Glasner. And it's quite exciting to watch, even though we do. So like you guys were saying, we make a lot of mistakes defensively, which some have come from that positional, that zonal marking. And Dan has touched on that a few times this season in our podcast. He's not a big fan of it, I can tell you that. But yeah, we've got, obviously, our back three is very settled. We've got Gehi, Lacroix, and Chalobah, some really good defenders. But sometimes this zonal marking does, well, when they started first playing together, they got a bit confused about it and who was tracking who and that kind of thing. But we've tightened up on that recently, and it does look a lot more balanced. So I think if you guys are going to change it, it could be to your detriment on Sunday, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's where actually, I'll just ask you, Dan, how do you kind of see the game going?
Oh, I'm expecting it to probably be very tight and very sort of tentative because nobody wants to lose these derby games. Palace, we're coming off of 3 or 4 undefeated since the international break, and I think you're sort of on 3 of the last 4. You've either won or got some points off as well. So we're both on good form. We're trying to get out of a relegation sort of form, and you're trying to sort of knock on the door of the big guys and quietly going about your business, really. Kind of not really, nobody's really kind of paying that much attention to you at the moment. So you're just quietly doing what you need to do and sticking, sort of just keeping close to them, really. So I'm expecting this to be like every Palace game. It's going to be fighting for every blade of grass, and we're going to make it either difficult for you or difficult for ourselves. I'm not sure which yet. So it's I think it's going to definitely going to be very close because you guys are not you're not massive scorers, but we're not brilliant defenders. So
well, that's one thing I would touch on what you said there. One thing I always think about Palace is and you just look at the team as well, and you watch them the highlights that they're in or whenever they're on TV, and you do think they've got a very workman type mentality about them. So your midfield, Lerma and Hughes, must be the 2 midfielders or must be up there in terms of kilometres per match or however they decide whoever runs the most. And then you've got obviously Mitchell, who's defensively sound. You've got Munoz, who's up and down that left wing back, full back, whatever position that whole left all the time. And then you've got the magic man in Eze as the little source to add to things. So I always do look at what Crystal Palace and do think it's always a difficult game in terms of they will probably outrun you. I imagine you outrun most teams. I could be wrong. I'll probably need to find stats somewhere. But yeah, bless. We'll go on to you. How do you see the game going?
I think, again, it would be a very, very cagey affair. I think you've alluded to it there of what I was going to say, to be honest. I think Palace seem to work really hard and always have to fight for their points. That's not a dig either, to be fair. But I do think, overall, if you compare the two sides, I think we're the better footballing team. So I think if we can get the ball on the floor and really play our stuff, I think we can create a lot of chances against that back three. I think, yes, they're quite physical, but we can definitely test them. If we can get past those wing backs and get Matoma one-on-one with those centre backs, or Rutter on the other side one-on-one with those centre backs, I fancy us creating a lot of chances. The only thing I would worry about is the physicality in midfield. Like you said, I think if Decore is available, I don't know if he might be injured.
No, he's back. He's back now. Back and fit and ready.
Yeah. Brilliant.
It's borderline. I think he's kind of a few minutes or something like that. He's not going to be playing probably the full 90, but
yeah. So that's probably good news for us, because I think that's one player I can believe we might struggle to match physically. But apart from that, I think the other Palace midfield is. Oh, maybe Lerma. I forgot about Lerma. Yeah, Lerma's another physical one.
Yeah.
That battle in midfield would be key.
Yeah, one thing I do fear, and I think you two alluded to it right at the beginning of the podcast, that, or actually I think it might have been you, Alex, that said when you go to these places, you're happy to leave your rival's ground with a point or leave with a result. And I think that is where the danger comes for us, or potentially not danger, but me and Bless have said on so many reaction pods how disappointing we are at breaking low blocks and how much we struggle to score. And I think, Dan, you said we're not really a scoring threat kind of team, which it does feel like that. You watch us sometimes and we're infuriating in the attacking third, especially when teams park the bus, or don't really have to park the bus, just defend well. That's where I kind of feel. I feel like you guys could come there, be happy to concede possession, like you said earlier, Alex, and then just try and make us break you down, and then just attack us with Ismail Assar's pace, Eze's creativity if he's still playing, and Mateta hold up play as well. And that's where I think the danger could lie for us. But hopefully we'll have the chances and the clinicalness, which we didn't have against Fulham, to actually put this game to bed. What's everyone's score predictions before we round it off? We'll start with you, Alex.
I'm gonna put myself on the chopping block here and go 2-1 Palace. I can't not come on your pod and go for a draw or a defeat. So 2-1 Palace. I reckon you guys will score first, but we might we'll claw back, and then we might see a Benteke 96th minute volley kind of situation again, hopefully.
Okay.
A late winner. That would be actually heartbreaking. So let's hope that doesn't happen. Bless your rebuttal.
I'm going to go for a 2-0 dominant Brighton performance. We'll dominate the ball. And I say this every week, but Danny Welbeck goal and knee slide, and away from Mateta when he gets on the bus.
And a wave to Alex for saying Mateta's better than him. Crazy.
Oh,
Crazy
I'll
take.
invite Alex back on the reaction podcast if we win.
Yeah, I'll go. I'm going on holiday next week, guys. I won't be around. So if we lose, that is. If we win, I'm staying it.
And Dan, your score prediction?
I'm going to have to go with Alex as well and sort of say go 2-1. And I think it's going to be really, really late scoring, like sort of the 70, 80th minute. It's just going to be probably really scrappy, or a counter-attack goal that comes out of absolutely nowhere. So that's my sort of kind of predictions, the way that we play. So that's where I'm kind of going for this. So we want to...
And I will say, I reckon it will be... I'm just going to jump on the Blessed bandwagon. I'm going to also say 2-0. I'm going to say Van Hecker pockets Mateta like he's nothing, like the little boy he is, and Van Hecker's been doing that with every opponent that he's faced. Belieber, a thunderbolt into the top corner, in front of the Palace fans, giving it all that. And then that man, Danny Welbeck, to score the winner, the cherry on the cake, you know. And like Bless said, see you later, Palace.
I thought you were going to be more humble.
Oh, yeah. Didn't last long. I said that, didn't I? I said me being humble and me actually saying we might struggle here won't last long. Because I'm back on the bandwagon for our fans. I'm predicting us to win. Easy performance, 60% possession, 14 more shots than the opposition.
Even possession.
Oh, easy. We're going to control the game. And on that note, guys, been a pleasure speaking to you. I would say all the best for Sunday, but we all know that would be a lie. Bless, nice speaking to you again. Dan, Alex, lovely having you on. And
Cheers,
from
guys.
us at GSBN, that's over and out.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.